Καλώς ορίσατε στο Overplay. Σήμερα έχουμε μαζί μας έναν παιχταρά. Τον γνωρίζετε από τη θητεία του στον Παναθηναϊκό αλλά και στην ΑΕΚ. Έχουμε μαζί μας τον Ρόκο Λένι Ούκιτς. Ρόκο, what's up, man? Thank you so much for accepting the invite and coming on the show.
How you doing? How you doing? I'm good.
Good, thank you. So, as you know, the name of the show is Overplay, so I have to overplay you right away. Let's get straight into the questions, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So, most of the fans out here in Greece, you know, they respect you and they remember you for your 2 years in Panathinaikos. You were the Greek Cup MVP, top scorer in the finals, in the playoffs. I know you played injured the second year with a lot of pain, but would you say that that was peak Roko Ukic? Was those like the best couple years in your career?
Yeah, I would say that like it's connected because like you just said in the first sentence, I was hurt. So that injury, it was no minor injury. It was like pretty serious injury. Not really the injury that keep you sidelined, but the injury that really damage your speed. And I was a guy who was playing, who was relying a lot on his speed. And when I lost the step, I lost the level of the competition. So I, as a 31-year-old point guard who is a step slower than everybody thinks he is, and that he's supposed to be, and that he was 2-3 years before. I was on let's say that was my peak, and then I was just going down. But it's all right because I started very, very early. So it's like usually people do their prime between, I don't know, like 27 and 33. I did my prime between 23 and 31. So I just got a little bit early, and that's it.
Got you. You guys still sweep. You sweep the back-to-back EuroLeague champs. That's a big accomplishment, man. Olympiacos was amazing, unbeatable through those years. And you guys beat them 3-0 the first year, and then the second year you won in 5, if I remember correctly. I remember you hit a crazy shot in the final, readjusting midair on a three-pointer, and you had some other shots like that in the final. Is that one of your like big-time skills, being able to hit that shot?
I mean, I would say like this. When you play against those kinds of defense, like Olympiacos and us too, we were like maybe 2 out of top 5 for sure. 2 out of the top 5 best defensive teams in Europe. And that games were played with great players and individual talent, but in the same time, it was low scoring game because the defenses were so good and so focused and so concentrated. So you can't get a cheap points. You can't get a easy points. So you need to have players in your roster that can make tough shots and they can score from nothing, because you run a certain set plays and they know what you're gonna run and they stop it, and then it's like 4 seconds to the end of the shot clock and you got to make a tough shot. And that was always my quality, you know. That was the thing I was really good at, and I was the player who played the best, little bit out of the system, out of what coach gonna draw on in his playbook. So in that particular series, that was our big advantage, and I was able to hit it on consistent basis, and I'm proud to know that I was a big part of that success that beat European champs 4 times in a row, like 4 trophies we took in 2 years, 2 cups and 2 championships, and that was a major for Panathinaikos as a team and for me as a player too.
We'll come back to those circus shots in a little bit because I'm really interested in those shots, man. You know, I got another question coming up, but I got to ask you this. So you played alongside Dimitris Diamandidis. Maybe not in his prime, maybe at the end of his prime. And you went head-to-head with Spanoulis in his prime. You had to guard him. So let's say they were both basically in their prime. They're 2 of the best Greek and European point guards ever, right? Fans love to compare them, especially Panathinaikos and Olympiacos fans. You know, they always have the argument, the debate, who's better, Diamandidis or Spanoulis? You know, I think another point guard that competed with him and against him might have the better opinion. So can you tell us who you would pick, Spanoulis or Diamandidis?
first of all, I gotta answer to you that I hate who is better debates. I hate who is better, LeBron or Jordan, or who is the best five all the time. I hate that because you can't really compare it for certain situation, for the certain system. This player is better, for the other one is the other. For sure, I play with Mitso. I never play with Billy. So Billy was my competitor, and I played lots of time against him. I have a huge respect for him, of course, for his game talent and everything. But I was always competing against him. Mitso was on my side, so of course I'm going to tell you like I like Mitso most because he was my teammate, and I love to play with him. And he was the only guy through my whole career that I really give the ball and stay on a side as a spot up guy, as a setup guy, because he was better creator than me. He could create way better for the teammates that I could ever do. So it was natural role that I tried to play the best defense because I was, especially my first year in my physical prime, and then I tried to take shots when the idea that Mitso have in his head and in his hands don't really go through. And then like in the last part of the offense, let's try to give the ball to Rocco to try to get a tough shot. That wasn't the whole offense, but it was the sum of ideas, right? So that's really my answer. But the good thing about them both is they really could play. They were so educated players. They could play in any system, and they could fit their skill set on any role. Maybe I didn't see that with my time in Panathinaikos with Mitso, because he was playing all the time the same role. But if you take his career, and when I remember myself playing against him when he was in national team, when he was younger, he was some part of his career, he was basically a wing player. He was the guard with the most blocks in EuroLeague history. He was playing on totally different style of the basketball. So I think that's their biggest strength. That's something that I didn't have. I was always the guy who could play on a certain way, maybe two, but like to reach their level, you need to be able to play like 3-4 different roles, be effective in that, and really produce for your team. For example, Billy in some part of his career was coming off the bench and was spark of the bench and was not the primary scorer, but then he come off the bench for the national team and I don't know, score 15 points in a row. I mean, I was part of the game sometimes. So I could never do that. So I didn't really give you a straight, honest question because I don't have one, but I just try to explain my point of view on their basketball.
All right, I understand that. And no more comparing questions. I'm going to delete all of them. I'm going to take a big X on them. But I need an answer. So I'm going to rephrase the question. If you were GM and you had to start a franchise and you could pick between prime Diamandidis and prime Spanoullis, who would you pick?
I think I would pick Mitso because I think I think for sure my choice is affected. Again, I would say because he was my teammate. But in the same time, I think he can affect game on most ways that any guard in Europe ever really could affect, because he could affect it from offensive standpoint, from defensive standpoint, from post-up game to pick and roll game to clutch shots to even one-on-one game in his prime. So I think he's the most versatile guard in European history, maybe. I mean, I didn't really think about this when I'm just saying right now. Maybe I need to do a little bit better research to really make a statement on that, but on top of my head, he might be the one.
Excellent. All right. Staying in that time, during that time, your coach was Aργύρης Πεδουλάκης. Some would say a controversial coach, an old school coach. And I'm curious on your point of view, since you played in two different basketball eras, right? Can you tell us a little bit about his coaching style? And I say controversial because he's had some arguments with some star players in his second stint in Panathinaikos. So I'm wondering, you know, you're a guy that's played in different systems. You play in the NBA, different eras of basketballs, different styles of basketball. So can you talk a little bit about his coaching style?
Listen, Pedulakis is one of the kind, man. I really love him. I think he helped me a lot to really understand the game on a better way. And my experience with him, I only have superlatives for him. I'm aware that some players might talk totally different, and I respect it. And the first 2 months were very, very tough for me because I really needed to adjust my role. You know, in a Fenerbahce before, and when I was even before NBA in Rome, I was like the main guy in offense. You know, everybody was run through me, and as I told you, I was a guy who was averaging like almost 15 points per game in EuroLeague as a point guard. So that means I got a ball in my hand all the time, and I could do any decision that I want on the court. And now you got a different team and a different set of power inside the team, and you got to adjust. And I think he helped me a lot to adjust. And once when I really understood what he wants from me, maybe after the new year, I really started to play great basketball. And the only regret that I really have is that injury that happened after that season during the summertime, that from overusing my body for lots of years, my Achilles just started not to work anymore. And as I told before, I become slower. And my second year, I just couldn't fulfill the same role with the same quality. I did play okay, but I wasn't the same player. And as a result, we were not the same team. We were playing a little bit worse. And we did finish as the champions of Greek, but 2 years in a row we didn't make the Final Four. We lost both years in a last game 3-2, and I think that was the reason for the club to change direction and to let us all foreigners except Γκιστ, who got a contract. They let us go. I'm not sure it was the smartest decision by club from this point of view, but it is what it is, and it's the way the European basketball works.
Speaking of James, I don't know if you saw this, but he just signed in Paraguay.
No way, man.
No. He's playing in Peñarol, man. Sorry, Uruguay. He just signed in Uruguay, playing for Peñarol, man. This guy loves the hoop. 37 years old.
Yeah.
Is there a message you'd like to send to your former teammate Jaimes Γκιστ? Because I have this one written down for later, but you gave me a good pass right now.
All the best to my man, James. I played with him even in Fenerbahce, and I remember how we get him in Panathinaikos. We basically got him in a trade. I think that was the one and only trade in the European history that we sent Andy Panko to Malaga for Jaimes Γκιστ. And I remember Pedulakis was not 100% sure he liked him, but he wasn't 100% sure. And I kind of like told him like that he could really be a good fit for us. Even I was 100% sure because James was still a young player in that time. But once when he got it, he did history basically. Panathinaikos stayed there for a long time and become one of the best defenders in Europe for a long time. And I know his passion and a love for the game. And I knew that he played last year in Turkey still. I didn't know about this year, but I'm really happy to hear that he's still playing.
Yeah, that's just happened a couple of days ago. He just signed like 2 or 3 days ago, I think, from the time of the recording. So I got another possibly easy question for you. Maybe not. Who was the toughest guy you had to guard in your career? Like national team, NBA, EuroLeague, whatever you want. Who was the toughest guy that you had to guard?
Oh, for sure, that would come from the NBA. I mean, if you talk about individual talent and the matchups, you can't compare NBA guards with European guards. I mean, in Europe, it can be hard to maybe fulfill the coach's tactics and know where to be in a certain defensive schemes that coach wants and requires a lot of focus and also athletic abilities and everything. But in NBA, it's just like straight one-on-one, straight ISOs that you need to guard, and you play against faster and stronger guys. And, I could find, I don't know,
Give
10
me
guys.
give me one from the NBA and then one from the EuroLeague. Because you were a top guard in the EuroLeague, so you had to prove it both on the offensive end and the defensive end. You could get yours. Everybody knew that you could get yours, but at the same time, you had to exert some of your energy to guard a premier point guard on the other team. So give me one from the NBA and one from Europe.
I could pick 20 guys. I could pick any basically starting point guard in NBA at that time from Derrick Rose. I don't know. I remember I got a guard.
Prime D Rose.
For
wow.
1 quarter. Yeah, and listen, I was guarding Dwayne Wade for a quarter. I think he got me in fouls. He shoot like 6 free throws in like 2 minutes, and he scored like I had feeling that I cannot do nothing against him.
Did he hit you with the head fake? Was it the head fake or was it the shoulder fake?
Everything, man. Like even when I played good defense, they give me a foul. So you got basically no chance, like
got the start fouls. Got you.
Yeah. So even like I don't know. I remember I guarded. I don't know, like Rodney Stuckey. I don't remember. I don't know. Do you remember
Stuckey
that?
Of course, man. He played for the Pistons. He was
Pistons,
a good player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like.
He could give you the business. Yeah, of course.
He was like strong as a motherfucker. Like he was really strong. Going right, that he's gonna go right, and he still go right every time. So like that kind of players, they are really like physical and strong. And I was 23-year-old and not really on that level with my body yet. And you white, you're long, and you are target. And even though I was always labeled as a decent defender in NBA and very good defender in Europe, you are still white. And they're still gonna attack you. So like that's the normal thing, and you gotta defend yourself and defend for your team and your integrity and everything. So it's very hard to pick one name that really give me business because 50 people gave me business, in NBA.
Okay,
but in Europe, when you talk, I will never say like some of the star players that I play against and some of the European legends give me most problems because usually they play team basketball and you got to defend them as a team because they attack you through system. So when you guard, I don't know, Theo or Billy or Papalukas or whoever, like Sharas or whoever, they don't get you on the ISOs. You are not exposed like that. Like they attack you from pick and roll, they attack you through certain systems, and you got a team defense, and they attack as a team and you defend as a team. Like the most problems I always have against some lower level player that just come from the smaller team and you are from the bigger team and they just want to prove themselves and then they just try to go at you and prove they are better than you. And I remember I played against Aaron Jackson when he was in Antalya. Something like that. Okay. So like just where I remember I played against Bo McCaleb when he was in Mersin in Turkey. And when they were young and they were really like fresh legs and everything, they were really unstoppable. And I think like Bo McCaleb could be maybe the one who was hardest to defend one-on-one, especially on open court, impossible. But his prime didn't last that much. Yeah, and when he got past 27, 28, he got a little bit slower.
Quick and strong, right, Rocco? He was quick and strong, so he could finish through contact.
Exactly, and he was so creative with the finishes and great body work. Footwork, sorry. And, he was not the best shooter in the world, but then when he got confidence, he going to hit you shot too. So, and he attacked through ISOs, like he gonna attack pick and roll, he go opposite of the screen, he attack you, he gonna go there, but he's still super fast and he gonna finish it. So I think again, like the toughest matchups were always like American point guards, if you ask me.
This is really insightful stuff. This is the part about my job that I love, that I get to ask you these questions. Because when fans or reporters talk about it, it doesn't really mean as much compared to when you guys say stuff like this. So I got one more last one to kind of close this subject. If you were playing right now, who would be the one guy you wouldn't want to guard? Is it Mike James?
In Europe, Probably that style of basketball that's super hard to stop. But there is one difference. It's always easier to guard the guys who rely on jump shot, and he rely a lot on his step back, side steps, mid ranges, and everything. Because when he hit shot on you, even if he hit three out of it, like you got your hands up, and he just got a good day. For me, it was always harder to guard the drivers than shooters, especially on ISOs.
Okay, got it. So let's move on to the NBA. We have two EuroLeague stars that moved over to the NBA this past season, Vasa Micic and Sasha Vezenkov. And I'm really curious on your point of view on this. Do you think that it's important for the top players in Europe to try the NBA for at least a year? You played there for a couple of years. You had some success. So I think your point of view is important because there's this debate that, just stay here. You're the number one guy here. You're a star here. You go there, you don't get playing time. So I'm curious, do the big players, the big names, do you think that they I know every person, every situation is different, but just your opinion, should they try the NBA for at least a year and see if they can make it work? What do you think, man?
Listen, as you said, it's really individual. Like everybody knows for himself what is the best for him. For my point of view, if I need to say yes or no, I would say yes, because like what you gotta lose. Everybody is gonna go, especially nowadays, there, and they're gonna get money too. Like you just mentioned, Micic and Vezenkov, they didn't go there for free. They didn't take a major pay cut. Like so, what they're gonna lose? They already did something special in Europe, especially Micic. And now, as a athlete, as a sportsman, you need to try to see where your limits are. I mean, but if you don't feel comfortable with it, and if you want to be absolutely king of the Europe, that's fine too by me. But like, I would always try to try something different. Like I had a chance when I was in States now to see Vezenkov. He was playing against Golden State. I was in that game. He didn't have a great game in particular, but he got lots of playing time and he was in a decent role. He was taking shots, but that shots didn't fall in, and he's still in a phase, I could say, of adjusting to the level of physicality of the NBA, to a little bit longer three, and to the role that he's not the main man as he was in Olympiacos, but still, his off-ball game and something, and his shot and something that he has can really help any team in the world, no matter where he plays. And Micic too, like he's a little bit different situation. He got to be backup point guard now, but he knew that. He knew that he will not start before Giddy or Gilgeous Alexander. So for me, that's something you got to accept and you got to work through it. And that's how I see it.
All right, staying in the NBA, sir. What do you think about Wemby, man? I didn't think he's going to be this good, man. This guy, he has potential. I don't want to say it, but everybody's thinking it. What do you think about Wembanyama? Are you surprised by his early success?
No, not at all. Listen, I saw him too in LA. He was playing against Clippers now. I was on that game. That game was not particularly good game because they were erased from the court after 20 minutes. And to be honest with you, I expect at least this from Wemby because he got great numbers. But when you see that game, you could even think he can do better. No, I don't mean that as a critic. I just think that his ceiling is so high that we can expect from him anything because the guy who is so big and so skilled, like what he cannot do. Like so far, I can see that everybody tried to match him with the smaller guys and try to put a body on him and take away his drives and force him to take a fadeaway shots. And he's still adjusting how to answer on that. And it will take some time, but then he got one game, then he scored 38 points, which was exceptional. But in general, like I think he's playing like very good, but I think very soon he's gonna play great.
Excellent. All right. Another question I got really here that's interesting. So there's a similarity between you and one of the biggest stars in the NBA, Luka Doncic. I'm saying this, okay? You guys, the ability to make crazy shots, the ability to make a shot that, you know, you get fans out of your seat. A lot of people see these shots go in and say it's luck, but we both know that's not true. What kind of work ethic do you need to have to make shots like that? And how do your coaches react when you hit a shot like that?
First of all, there is different kind of work ethics in any sports, in any job that you do. You got people that are really professional, do their thing, stay before, stay after, do everything on time, but do it, you know, because they're professionals. They would just do that in any business they have in their life. And then you have the guys that are enthusiastic people about their job. They do it for fun more than for professionalism. And I think I don't know Luka very well to talk about in his name. He's obviously genius player with unbelievable talent, but he seems to me from outside that he likes like to ball, that he likes to stay in gym, but not necessarily working 10 hours, but having fun and taking crazy shots and create them. And I was the same way, you know. I was in the gym all the time, and I love basketball so much. You can feel I can talk about basketball 3 days, and I know all the players and everything. And I was the same man when I was playing. I was all the time in the gym, but not necessarily working on the things that I should work, which was not good. I'm not saying I'm not very like I'm not saying that I did a good about it, but I'm just trying to give you perspective. Like if you're trying that kind of crazy shots on practice and you are so excited about it, and that's something that moves you, there's a bigger chance you're gonna hit them on a game. So I think that's the similarity that you're searching for, and that might be the answer for you. And the other part of the question was how the coach reacting. Like especially in my times, man, like they were not happy. They were always like I was seeing I was playing with Barcelona 2007, and that time Navarro was the only guy who was taking floaters, right? And I fall in love in that shot so much. And then I went to NBA and I saw the Tony Parker, and I spoke with him, and he told me a little bit about his floaters because they got different kind of floaters.
Yeah, he shoots the two.
Yeah,
he shoots
exactly.
He shoot like a jump shot floater, and
exactly.
then B Rose
Yeah.
was off one leg, right? Yeah.
Yeah, more like a runner, right? So I was like trying, like man, when I was in NBA, like I didn't have no chance to finish nothing on a glass, so I tried to explore like the floater game. And when I come back in Europe, I was living off the floaters. I was just shooting floaters. And, you know, the coaches and the people, like, you know how they're going to react. When you score it, great. When you don't make it, like, oh, somebody was open in a corner, like, maybe you should jump stop and fake and shoot a normal shot and everything. So I think that's the normal for any kind of coach, especially on a big level, because the stakes are so high and nobody want a risky shot. But when you're a player, man, you gotta believe in yourself, believe in your strength, and try to take most of it. And one way or another, you're gonna be successful, you know. So I think the truth and the right thing is somewhere in the middle.
Got it. You took away. I had another question here, but you kind of spoke about it. I'm still gonna ask it, even though you have answered it before. So this is a question I like to ask athletes off camera. So there are guys like Chris Paul or Spanoulis who talk, think, sleep, breathe basketball all day, every day. Then there are guys like Kevin Durant or Jokic. They just want to go to work, you know, go to the gym and move on with life. I just don't understand, how is it possible to be as successful with a different type of mindset? Like, even if you're obsessed like a CP3, or you're not that obsessed like a KD or a Jokic, how can you be as effective? Because from talking to you right now, I feel like you're the guy that loves basketball and you like talk about it and play and watch, right?
Yeah. Listen, I was like now a little bit less, because when your career goes down and your ambitions goes down and you are aware that your prime is far away from you, like you don't act the same. But like when I was in my prime, man, I was like 24 hours in basketball. Like I was like, they called me Rockopedia because I knew like every player on earth. They still don't know, like, when somebody don't know some fact about basketball, they can find it. They call me, like, so I was that guy. But how they, like, to answer you, they can be successful, man. I'm gonna tell you one thing that most people don't agree with, but it's my view on the sport. I think the talent is underestimated. I think people always talk stories about work ethics, and talent is just part of it, man. Like, if you don't have talent, you can be a pro player, but you're never gonna be so successful. And then, if you are so talented, like for example Jokic or Durant is just enough to be like average. I'm not saying they are average with work ethics. I'm just because I don't know.
Yeah, just an
I don't know.
Yeah.
But even if they are, they're gonna be more successful than some guy who is average athlete, who is average with a talent and like just try to work all day. Because that guy is gonna probably end up as a role player, and he's gonna make a great career, obviously, and he's gonna be, I don't know, PJ Tucker, who I got great admire of, and he did great career, and all the best. But I'm just giving you example as a guy who is not world class talent, but did everything to his work ethic. But you cannot compare that kind of player with somebody who is born with a certain level of talent and is considered as the best players in the world. So I think the talent got a lot to do with it, and for me, that's the question to that answer.
Is that why probably Messi is better than Ronaldo, because he has the talent, he was born with it, and Ronaldo is a product of work? Or are you a CR7 fan? Just this is an off-script question.
Nah, I'm not a big soccer fan at all. Okay. So like, I don't really.
I'm just piggybacking on the talent work ethic.
I mean, I can see comparison, but like, I think also lots of people like Cristiano Ronaldo more. But in the end of the day, it's like, as I told you before, I hate all comparisons, just like for the obvious reasons, because you can see from different point of views, and you can have debate, and we can have a different opinion, and we can both be right,
Got it. All right. No more comparisons. Couple more questions before I let you go. There's like a really sad situation going on right now. It's way bigger than basketball, but it's affecting basketball, specifically Maccabi. And as I told you, I'm always looking for athlete's point of view. So how tough is it for an athlete to have to continue to go to work while there's a war going on, continue to play, and to go away from the country you live, that you have all your stuff, just to be able to do your job? How tough do you think that is for an athlete, man?
Listen, I can only imagine. I cannot tell you, because fortunately I was never in that situation. When I was a kid, like, the war was in my country, and some players who I play after with was trying to explain me that kind of situation, and it was very tough. But at the same time, it kind of unites you as a team, because you had some extra motive to focus and to play together. So you can be, sometimes you're more successful, but for sure it's a super tough, and something that I really can't talk about, because, as I told you, fortunately, I never experienced one bit of it.
All right, so to wrap things up, Panathinaikos, have you followed them at all this season? They have signed a bunch of players. They just signed Cendrick Nunn from the NBA, who was pretty amazing a few years ago. Like, if you asked me 3 years ago, I wouldn't believe that Cendrick Nunn would be playing in Europe. So what's your opinion on that? And I was wondering, I'm sure Panathinaikos fans are going to want a message from you. So what do you think?
Listen, I didn't see one game of Panathinaikos this year. I got to be honest with you. I told you before, I don't really watch too much EuroLeague. I watch a lot of NBA games. I was always a fan of the NBA basketball, unlike the lots of people in Europe, but that's just me. And
give us your insights on Cendrick Nunn. That's why I wanted to ask you, because I know that you.
Yeah, I mean, Cendrick Nunn was great in Miami, and when he was traded, I mean, he wasn't even traded. He signed as a free agent to the Lakers. Everybody thought he's going to be a missing part, but he got some injuries, and he never really played well, and never. I would not even say he didn't play well. He didn't get much playing time.
Play at all.
Yeah, he didn't play. Yeah. So like, it was obvious for him. He need to try to do something different. I think Panathinaikos can be the great choice, but it's not easy to play for Panathinaikos. Lots of players, talented players who got there and don't have certain mental and physical toughness, don't really do good. So I think Cedric Nunn kind of check all that boxes, and he can be a good player for them. But in general, it's tough because this year, like, the budget obviously is bigger, probably based on what kind of names they got and what kind of coach with what pedigree they got. So obviously, like, the goals are also up because we know last couple of years they were not too successful. They couldn't get in the top 8 one way or another for years. And now everybody expect that, but the start was not too great. So season is long. It's a new team. They're gonna need some time. But to have some more info and something more, like, let's say, particular and right, I need to see 2-3 games and to have like better opinion on it. All what I'm saying is I'm just talking based on experience that I got and on result that I follow, but I didn't really see the game, so I can be really smart and have a great opinion. I stay behind on that.
Got it. So last part of the show, I need a cool or funny story from any time, from your, when you were a child, from your playing time, from your Panathinaikos time. Give the fans a good story, a little spicy or funny, whatever you want.
Listen, at the top of my head, it's very hard to find stories because I got probably 40 stories through my career because I'm playing for such a long time. And but we were talking about Panathinaikos for the big part of this conversation, so I'm just gonna finish with it. So I'm gonna give you a story.
Nice.
When we were playing finals the second year, we had a home court advantage, but we lost the first game, and then we won the first game. I'm sorry, we won the first game. Then we lost the second game in a set, and then they beat us in the third game at home, and we were playing very bad. Like, it seemed like they are a better team in that moment than us, and we were going in set for the fourth game. It was basically over because they told me, like, in a history nobody really turn around 2-1 when the opponents got to go in a gym of in somebody else's gym. Yeah. So we were having some shoot around, the atmosphere was quiet, and everybody was kind of like, I would not say nervous, but like suspicious what the future is going to bring. And then in the end of the practice session, like maybe like 50 or even more, like 70, like hardcore fans of Panathinaikos coming in a gym in Oaxaca. And, the appearance of them was kind of like intimidating, because they were coming out of nowhere. They were walking as an army together, and they form like a semicircle on a center. And they called us to come, and we were like, what the fuck, man? Like, what's going to happen now? And they were super cool. They were just saying, hey guys, like, last year you did the history, you beat them 3-0 without the home court advantage. We believe in you, and I expect we're gonna do history again, and we know you can turn this around, and just be brave and see them. We're gonna see them here in the fifth game. And we went there, and I remember like Lasme and Γκιστ played great game. They closed the paint, got a bunch of dunks. We won that game, and then fifth game was not even close. Like, we destroyed them. Like, it was, I think the halftime was like 52-23, something like that. Like, we destroyed them. So we won that championship. As I told, like, the first year I was really effective in all games. in the finals, like the second year, I only played great, like the last game. And but even though I was way better the first year, that second year title, because that moment have the same meaning for my career, and I feel the same way about that because it was kind of like a big story how we turned that around.
Got it. Really nice story. Really nice story. Appreciate you coming on the show, man. It's always cool to hear from a stud, and you were a stud. Kids nowadays may not know, but you were a bad man with the basketball. I remember, for Fener and for everybody, and for the national team too. So I appreciate you coming on the show. Hopefully, if I text you again in maybe a year and a half, you'd like to come back on. Thanks for your time.
Sure.
And I'll talk to you soon, man. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best. Bye.
Have a good one.